15 Marvel movies that flopped at the box office. The renowned Marvel brand has become a synonym for success in the film industry, but it hasn't always been like that. Before the MCU managed to hit successful numbers and turn the big screen experience into memorable spectacles, superhero movies hadn't always performed so well in theaters. Even now, after a series of profitable runs and Avengers, Endgame standing out as the second highest grossing movie of all time, the MCU appears to be tripping over its own feet. The cinematic universe's Phase 5 shows clear signs of superhero fatigue among audiences, raising doubts about whether this might be the end of MCU's progress. In the meantime, let's look at 15 Marvel movies that flopped at the box office. Punisher. Warzone is an obvious case of not learning from past mistakes, or failing to give them time to breathe. Only 4 years after the failure of The Punisher, the infamous anti-hero returned to the big screen for an even worse theatrical run. Ray Stevenson steps up as the new Frank Castle, who engages in a war against mob boss Billy, Jigsaw, Russet as an army of one. Marvel's biggest flop. To this day, Punisher, Warzone remains Marvel's biggest box office bomb, grossing only $10 million out of a $35 million budget. The movie does justice to the ultraviolent appeal of Punisher's comics and is by no means a terrible movie, but the numbers reached by the first movie had already shown a clear indication of lack of interest from the audience. Rent On. Not to be mistaken for Donald Duck, Howard the Duck was a fairly popular Marvel character during the 70s and 80s, and the film adaptation of The Heavy Smoker and Ill-Tempered Duck had none other than Star Wars' George Lucas as executive producer. The movie follows Howard's satirical adventures on Earth after he's transported to the human-dominated planet against his will. Despite having big names on board, the film's sarcastic tone didn't work well with younger audiences or adult viewers. Howard the Duck was cheesy in a negative way, and the absurd jokes just didn't stick the landing like they did in the comics. The promise of a $37 million budget paid off even less, as the movie ended up grossing only $16 million worldwide. Rent On. All too familiar. The film is attached to a lingering gloomy atmosphere and outbursts of violence, but it spends too much time on a well-known story before jumping into creative storytelling decisions. At the end of the day, it didn't even manage to pay the bills, making $54 million out of a $33 million budget. If you are new to our channel then, like and subscribe.